My partner has revealed things about his past or her past, and now without me ever prompting them to do so, without me ever asking questions about it, and now I can't stop thinking about it. Hi, this is Noemi Seri. I am a retroactive jealousy specialist. So, what do you do when somebody actually reveals something about their past and you can simply not see them the way you saw them? And it's just preying on your mind. It's actually, it might be so intense that you might even feel that you can't function to the same extent at work, you can't function in your everyday life, and basically you cannot have the same sense of safety at home and security, same sense of safety and security within the relationship. You just feel that something is broken. Now, when it comes to retroactive jealousy, so if this, that's usually a pattern. So it's usually something related to certain insecurities, certain beliefs, and certain things in our history, relational history usually, but it doesn't have to be romantic relations, but relation history. But most things in life are relational, actually, because we are a species that are highly social. So, what is it that you can do in this case? Now, one thing that you might want to do, because I'm assuming that this is not a pattern, but it is something that only happened now, and is is having a conversation with your partner. And when we want to have a conversation that is constructive, that will serve the relationship, serve both people, then one thing you don't want to do is to go into a conversation and blame the other person. That is never going to help, because then they are going to be defensive, and basically both of you are communicating from an activated state. You are in a sympathetic nervous system state. You are anxious. You are both in flight and fight mode. So you don't actually have access to your whole brain, and you need that access. You need that access to be able to see the other person fully, to be compassionate with the other person, and for them to respond. Now, if you are experiencing rhetoric jealousy, chances are that it is very difficult for you to have a conversation about it when without some sort of activation, without some sort of sense of anxiety and fears. But it is better to do it when it's somewhat reduced. Yeah, so it's not in the heat of it. And the other thing is, then you could say, hey, I am feeling this way, which means that I don't have the capacity to to be as empathic as I would like to be, as I'm usually with you, to be as caring, as loving. My brain is overwhelmed with fear, which means that I physically don't have the capacity. I love you, I care for you, but there is this fear, and I would love us to go through it. I would love us to go through it and get out on the other side without actually getting stuck in it, or without this fear growing to such an extent that it will alienate us. Can we have a discussion about it? And then say how you felt, or why you feel that, or what thoughts come up, without blaming. And when we engage in such conversation, then the sentences start, I feel this way, rather than you made me feel this way. Yes. Um, that's, by the way, when we say to the other person, you made me, you did this, then we are disempowering ourselves as well, because what we are actually saying is that um, I allowed you to, I'm still with you even though you did do that. And please, we are talking about not a relationship where there is abuse. That is a different thing. So here we are talking about loving relationships where there might be fights and things, just normal little things rather than real abuse. So saying that this is how I feel. This is how I feel. When I heard you talk about this, I felt this way. And ever since you shared with me your past, I have been having these fears. Can and then also you want to be able to communicate what it is that you want. Uh, One thing that is important here is that their reassurance might not help. So you might actually want help from an outsider, but you might actually say, I want to work with a coach on this, but I wanted to discuss it with you first. Yeah, so basically, you might want to share what you're feeling, how you're feeling, without blaming and shaming and trying to renounce responsibility of your feelings. And so basically acknowledgement of things and inviting support and saying, look, this is what I want to do about it, or this is what I want to get out of it. So instead of going into it aimlessly into a conversation, you can prepare yourself. You can prepare yourself, and then it will help you navigate it better because conversations that are inclusive, you include the other person rather than one thing that can make things worse in a relationship is us getting stuck in our mental landscape and in thinking about things because we can easily lose touch with reality. And and that's not a good place to be. Whereas when we bring in the other person, then they can give another perspective on things, and then we can navigate things together.